In this video, we're going to be taking an in-depth look at the Quantum7, the hardware, the software, and the special features that we provide with our next-generation quantum processing. But first, let's just catch up a little on who we are and where we've come from. Designed and manufactured in the UK, DiGiCo is the market leader for live touring, theatre production, international events, and of course, all aspects of fixed installation, digital audio mixing consoles and processing. With more than 25 years' experience designing consoles and continuing from the soundtracks era, DiGiCo has been leading the way since 2002, revolutionising the digital live console market with the D5, redefining the platform with FPGA in 2007 with the SD7, and then taking the Quantum7 leap forward in 2018. This pedigree in live touring and entertainment sectors means DiGiCo consoles come with the essential benefit of being easily sourced globally. Combine that with industry-praised audio quality, ease of use, and tour rugged design mean DiGiCo is the brand of choice for many of the world's leading acts and engineers. Ultimately, this makes DiGiCo rider-friendly, and investing in our consoles makes long-term commercial sense. Beyond the live touring market, where we hold the enviable position of being the top console choice, DiGiCo leads the theatre market, holding on to more than 70% of the West End and Broadway shows, and we're found regularly at the front of TV studios for the world's largest live-to-air events, the Olympics, the Oscars, the Grammys, the Super Bowl. All of this adds up to DiGiCo being the industry standard. This leading market position is backed up by the best support in the industry. Our relationships with our user base, our fast response to all support issues, the ability for our support engineers to talk directly to R&D. It all adds up to a service that users can rely on, knowing they will get all the advice and help when they need it, exactly when they need it. Our support and manufacturing is all based in the UK, meaning we are able to react quickly, dispatching parts and spares at a moment's notice. We even print the support contact phone number on the back of every console. Ultimately, things can always go wrong, but it's how you deal with it that makes the difference. So let's talk about the technology and what makes DiGiCo so special. In 2007, the SD7 paved the way with new technology for audio consoles. The use of an FPGA, that's a field programmable gate array, essentially a reprogrammable chip built of programmable blocks, gave us the opportunity to provide users with a dramatic increase in channel processing count over previous fixed DSP-based systems and deliver a unique set of native tools that don't rely on add-on external processing systems. As opposed to traditional DSP-based engines, the FPGA solution is much more of a development platform. And since 2007, we've proven our commitment to our user base by releasing upgrades and updates that push the boundaries of our processing, adding features and functions as direct responses to market demands. Additionally, this single chip FPGA processing design inherently improves reliability. Single board designs, less interconnects, lower power consumption, simpler maintenance, all benefits that make for a better user experience. Our continuous development allows us to stay relevant in fast-changing markets, while continuing to offer huge returns on investment and product longevity. With broadcast and theatre software available in addition to the standard live software, a single hardware platform can be switched between 3 application-specific modes, each designed with specific features tailored to each demanding application. In broadcast mode, we offer true broadcast features at a price point never seen before. With an increasingly budget-conscious market and a boost in streaming and web broadcasting, the DiGiCo solution makes total commercial sense. Investors and engineers no longer have to choose between live and broadcast features. A single console platform can adapt to offer both. In theatre, our connection with the market has enabled us to develop a unique toolset. We spent years refining and developing the theatre-specific functions, a process which continues. It's our relationships and our continued engagement with these at the leading edge of the industry that have put our theatre-specific software in a position of being the industry standard, leading both West End and Broadway theatre markets. And for the work surface and the GUI, we spent years refining our designs. With each console, we listen, learn, and strive to improve wherever we can. You'll find a common design and interface across the whole range. No need to learn a new console. It's all logically presented with easy-to-understand analog-style workflows. The use of RGB-coloured encoders that guide you to the right controls, hidden-to-lit indicators that only show when needed, and full analog-style channel strips that are intuitive and fast to use. This common theme extends to the session files too. Our conversion software allows for easy translation of session files between the console models, both up and down. You might be touring on a Quantum7 but need to load your session onto a Quantum338 or an SD12 for a single gig. No problem. Load your session into the converter, choose exactly which resources to keep, and simply save as a new file. So let's take a look at the features and benefits of DiGiCo's quantum processing. The power of the Quantum FPGA engine allowed the DiGiCo engineers to add more channel processing options. Utilizing multiple 7th generation FPGAs linked by high-speed busing, these new processors are available in addition to all of the usual channel options. Mustard processing adds a choice of boutique-style modeled compressors, an alternative parametric EQ with all-pass filters, and additional tube preamp modeling. We're not using any effect slot for these, and Mustard doesn't eat into any other resources that you have. Having these options on board has several distinct advantages to external DSP add-ons. With less connections, there's less to go wrong, fewer points of failure. And latency is lower, since all of the processing happens natively on the desk. Ultimately, it's a more cost-effective solution. Mustard offers the creative tools that our user base has asked for: optical, VCA, and FET compressors. The optical compressor sounds great on drums. The VCA compressor is fantastically clean and works well on a wide range of instruments. And the FET compressor is great on buses. All of these Mustard compressors include a mix control, so it's easy to use parallel compression techniques without using up more of your channel resources. The Mustard EQ offers an extra 4 bands of parametric EQ, with 2 of the bands switchable to be all-pass filters. These specialist tools adjust phase at a given frequency rather than level, and can help combat timing and phase differences that muddy the sound. Quantum's nodal processing redefines the toolset for mixing monitors and is unique to DiGiCo's quantum consoles, giving the ability to attach a channel of DiGiCo's processing to an individual aux send on a channel. The processing includes our 4-band parametric EQ with dynamic EQ, available on all bands, and our dual dynamics modules, including multi-band dynamics. But why would you want this? When building monitor mixers, or mixing both monitors and front of house on the same console, there's often the need to process inputs differently for different mixes. 2 musicians in a band might want, for example, the lead guitar to sound different. Traditionally, this would mean double routing the input into 2 channels, processing them different EQ or dynamics, and then building the mixers up from there. This obviously uses up additional input channel resources, but also makes the workflow more complicated. Nodal processing removes this need to double up. By attaching separate processing to individual aux sends, a single input can be manipulated in any number of ways according to the mix needs. Your lead guitar can now have different EQ and dynamics for every aux send on the channel, and if you still have your full channel processing available should you need it. As an extension of our tool for monitor engineers, Choose Solo further enhances the workflow. Normally when you solo an input channel, you hear that signal in the solo bus. What you don't get is any of the output processing, any of the EQ or dynamics that are on the aux master. With Quantum's True Solo, when you solo the input, you can choose which output bus processing you want to apply to the solo bus, whether it be auxes, groups, or matrices. Now you get to hear everything exactly as your artist does. The Quantum Spice Rack is another extra resource and provides you with a plug-in style rack that you can insert anywhere on the desk. Spice Rack hosts premium DiGiCo plugins, and the first of these plugins released is the Chili 6. It's a 6-band dynamic processor, and while there are plenty of alternative add-ons that achieve the same result, there are some inherited advantages to having it all on board. Lower latency, more reliable, again due to the lack of extra physical connections to plumb it in, and more advanced control over the parameters. Spice Rack controls can be mapped to the console faders, giving tactile control over multiple parameters simultaneously. Chili 6 also features our patent-pending dynamic release control technology. This provides control of the release shape of the dynamic processing curve, from the usual exponential mode through linear to a fully inverse exponential release. This can improve processing, particularly in the low-end frequencies, by maintaining low-frequency waveforms. Chili 6 is an essential tool, perfect on drum buses or for getting control over instruments with a wide dynamic range. Spice Rack again builds on the DiGiCo ethos of continuous development, building tools and features which engineers have asked for. Having multiple instances of these plugin style processors available natively on the console makes perfect sense. It simplifies and enhances the already powerful workflow we're known for. Beyond these special processing features, all Quantum engines have I/O expandability with DMI card options. These DiGiCo multi-channel interface cards bring a range of additional supported formats to the platform, allowing for improved wider system integration. From Dante, Wave Soundgrid, Klang to AMM Auto Mix cards, MADI and AES, the DMI options give you the connectivity you need. Before we look at the capabilities and the software of the Quantum7, let's take a look at the rest of the hardware. Like all DiGiCo consoles, the Surface is a complete mixer. All of the processing is in the Surface and offers local connectivity as standard. Starting with the back of the console, we have dual redundant power supplies with dual redundant engines. Both of these are removable for easy servicing. The engines are both full engines for complete redundancy, each capable of processing all the audio in their own right. Nearly all large-scale productions and theatre shows demand this level of security, and the Quantum7 provides it all in a single surface. We have 12 mic line in, 12 line out, and 12 AES-I/O, MIDI, GPIO connections, word clock AES and video sync, SMPTE timecode, a talkback input, and video inputs to drive the built-in screen on the meter bridge. And then on each engine, we have the main I/O connections. Each Quantum7 engine provides 8 MADI ports. At 48K, these are configurable as 8 independent ports or 4 redundant ports. And at 96K, these ports are combined to provide 4 full MADI connections. Usually, these MADI ports are used to connect MADI recording devices like the DigiGrid MGB. But the AES-10 MADI spec is widely supported by many manufacturers, so they provide a simple, robust multi-channel interface for connecting additional kit. Each engine also features a built-in USB audio interface that provides 48 channels of I/O, perfect for connecting your computer for simple multi-track recording and playback. Our main stage rack connection is via loop-based optical fiber connections. This optical loop is an ultra-low latency, fully redundant, self-clocking, high channel count format that supports up to 14 stage racks and 5 redundant consoles per loop. For larger installations and event, the Quantum7 supports 2 loops, allowing up to 28 stage racks to be connected. We offer a choice of connections, from touring-grade mil-spec expanded beam HMA connections to ST and optical con connection formats. And for installation and broadcast applications, our fiber loop can be integrated with an optical Route 66 auto router, transforming it into a star network configuration. And finally, on the back, each engine contains 2 DMI slots, each offering up to 64 channels of inputs and outputs. On the front of the Surface, we have 3 15-inch touchscreens and 3 meter bridge screens, 52 faders with 12 faders per bank. It's expandable to 100 faders using the EX007 expansion surfaces, dual headphone outputs, an integrated dimmable light bar, and the video camera and associated screen. The left and right channel screens are accompanied by an analog-style set of channel controls, and the whole surface is enhanced by RGB encoder LEDs. These surface cues change to reflect the controls selected on screen, providing immediate and clear indication of the assigned controls. Surrounding the center master screen, you'll find the dedicated solo controls, snapshot automation controls, and the LCD macro buttons. The ability to custom label and choose the color of macro buttons helps you build your workflow functions exactly as you need them. The macro system itself provides the ability to build multi-level functions into a single button press. From saving a session, bypassing inserts on your selected channels, or switching the audio paths between live stage inputs and virtual sound check, our macro functions are much more than single function user assignable keys. And finally, on the hardware, a word about our rack options. We have a number of remote stage racks which connect to the control surface. The modular SD racks come in 3 sizes, allowing for flexibility in I/O count and positioning. The SD rack, SD Mini, and SD Nano racks support the same 8-channel card options. And with a range of card options available, you can populate them to give you all the connectivity exactly where you need it. If you need Dante-based I/O, the DiGiCo A168 and A164 stage racks are both available as Dante racks, perfect for installed applications which require network-based audio connectivity. And for further installation flexibility and processing, the Fourier 4 processing engine fully integrates into the DiGiCo I/O system and expands connectivity even further. The premium option for the SD rack is the 32-bit A to D and D to A cards. Converting at 32-bit resolution gives us market-leading performance, a significantly improved noise floor, and ultra-fast conversion that cuts latency by 20%. For applications where lots of mics are open, for example a classical or orchestral reinforcement where more gain is needed, These blue-faced 32-bit cards can make a huge difference. And combined with the 40-bit floating-point SD engine and massive internal dynamic range that the console offers, the DiGiCo SD in quantum performance stands above other manufacturers in the live space. Now we've had an overview of the hardware, let's run through the software and look all the way we build sessions and all the standard processing options that we give you on the DiGiCo. SD and quantum consoles don't force you into a fixed session structure. Each time you start a session, you get to choose how you configure or build the session, how many inputs, aux, groups and matrices you need. This flexibility allows the platform to easily adapt to a wide range of tasks. No two gigs are the same. So it's essential that you have the ability to design your own console structure to meet the unique requirements of each gig. And since we're on a Quantum7, we have 256 input channels available, plus 128 buses, 48 by 48 crosspoint matrix, a dedicated master bus that's configurable between stereo and surround formats up to 5.1, plus a suite of internal effects, and of course plenty of control groups and graphic EQs. And we get all of this, all of the time, at either 48K or 96K sampling rates. There's no trade-off, no choosing between channels or effects, no choosing between latency or processing. For specifying consoles, this no compromise mentality makes it easy. In the session structure panel, you can allocate, modify, and reorder the channels. Choose your sample rate and select some of the basic setup defaults for how your session is built. This rebuilding process just takes a few seconds. Each time you create or load your session, the engine distributes the processing resources accordingly. In an install environment, these sessions can be stored as templates, read-only files that you can load and save as new sessions. In a setting where volunteers or less experienced engineers might be using the console, this gives them the easy access to working-based sessions offering peace of mind and security. The layout of the console is designed to be intuitive and simple with no complicated menus to navigate. It's very much like an analog console would be, with the signal flow from the top of the channel down to the bottom. Of course, there is the associated flexibility that comes with digital consoles, but as a starting point, the analog style GUI makes it fast and approachable. It's a touch and adjust philosophy. Touch the appropriate element on the channel and adjust using the assigned encoders. Before we get into the channels themselves, let's set up the I/O. We have some remote stage racks connected, the DiGiCo SD racks, and to configure these, we use the audio I/O panel. Connected racks can be configured manually, but we can have an automated process to make this quick and easy. Pressing the single console button auto-discovers all of the connected devices and adds them into the session. Racks, cards, inputs, etc. can all be labelled in here too. And all of these names carry over to the routing at channel level, so you know exactly what you're patching. The audio I/O panel also offers audio copy functions for recording and virtual sound checks, or even broadcast splits, and a line check mode for adjusting and listening to individual inputs before you patch them into channels. We also have a full cross-point audio copy matrix. You can send any physical input to any physical output without using up processing channels, but still having access to mic gains, etc. Essentially, a big copy split system built into the head of the I/O system. Within large multi-console and broadcast setups, this reduces the number of third-party bits of kit needed to build a fully integrated audio environment. Jumping over to the input channels, we touch the top of the channel to open up the input patch panel. It shows us all of our connected devices, and it's as simple as picking the right input. If we want to patch multiple channels in one go, maybe all the drum mics which are consecutively hooked up to the rack, the ripple function gives us the ability to tell the console how many channels to patch in one go. The input setup panel also gives us mono stereo switching, stereo signal manipulation, polarity controls, and on mono channels, access to alternate input. Every mono channel can have two patched inputs, main and alt, and we can quickly switch between them. This often is set as a main and backup mics. You'll also find our DigiTubes here. DigiTube is an emulation of the original DiGiCo tube-based rack input card. It acts much like a classic valve amp. At low levels it's almost linear, but cranking it up results in compression and soft clipping. It's useful for bass DIs which might sound a bit clean, or to add subtle crunch or presence to any instrument. And don't forget that Quantum's mustard processing gives you even more tube emulation models. So no matter what the source, you've got lots of options to choose from. Looking down the channel, you'll notice that all the channels on the console are almost identical. This is our standard set of processing options. High and low pass filters, parametric EQ with dynamic EQ available on all 4 bands, a dual dynamics module including multiband compression, insert points, aux sends, group routing, direct out, all logically presented and fast to operate. On the buses, that's auxes and groups and matrix outputs, we give you the same channel processing but with a small change. The high and low pass filters on the outputs are switchable to parametric EQ, giving you the choice of filters plus 4 bands of EQ or 8 bands of EQ, 4 standard bands and 4 bands that are also switchable to dynamic EQ. On the subject of dynamic EQ and multiband dynamics, there are no limitations to how many of these you can use or where you use them. And that's the equivalent of almost 700 multiband dynamic modules and more than 2,700 individual dynamic EQ modules, all in the box without the need for external processing add-ons. As the name suggests, dynamic EQ alters the gain of an EQ band depending on the level of the incoming signal. So changes to tonality with level, maybe the difference between someone's singing voice and their speaking voice, can be compensated for. Or it could be used to counteract microphone proximity effect, the rise in low frequencies when a vocalist gets very close to a microphone. Multiband dynamics split the incoming signal into 3 bands and provides a full compressor for each band. This is useful, for example, on drum buses, where you don't want the low-end energy from the kick to cause pumping on the cymbals. There's lots of uses for it, and as with dynamic EQ, there's no need to turn to external devices for these specialist effects. They're built right into every channel. Back on the input channels, the aux send panel opens to provide an overview of up to 36 of your send points at a time off the selected channel, along with the choice of 6 different send points from the channel and aux pans. If you're using the Klang immersive monitoring system in conjunction with the console, the integrated Klang controls appear here too. And on quantum consoles with nodal processing, the aux-specific processing I mentioned earlier, the aux panel provides the additional control needed to assign and focus on the nodal processing. Of course, we give you many of the standard features you'd expect to see on any digital console. Aux flip to fade up, stereo aux link pans and reverse link pans, the ability to copy mixes between auxes or off the faders, almost too many to mention. But we also provide some less common but very useful tools that you can improve your workflow with and have a better user experience. All buses have a merge input, allow you to sum any input signal with the bus without using up additional channels. This is great for summing stems or cascading consoles together. The tone or noise ident feature injects tone or noise directly onto the bus, so checking IEM transmitter outputs or identifying physical lines just got quicker and easier. In addition to the fully assignable talkback setup, every aux output has a direct talk function, including a duck for the bus signal. Our flexible engine allows for group-to-group routing and group-to-aux routing. Ultimately, our mixed environment is completely feature-rich, allowing you to work the way you want to work. Away from channels and audio functions, the Quantum7, as with all DiGiCo consoles, is built to be part of a wider system and offers comprehensive programming and integration features not found on other platforms. From multiple external control options, immersive mixing integration, and the best scene recall system of any live audio console. Starting with our snapshot or scene system, we provide a huge level of control over the saving and recalling of your mix parameters. Our work in the musical theatre market over 20 years has established our platform as the industry leader. And much of the development work carried out in theatre is carried over to our standard live software. The combination of global scopes, individual snapshot scopes, auto and group update systems per parameter, per channel crossfades, MIDI and timecode implementation, and channel safes mean the console is completely programmable. With sessions potentially running into hundreds of snapshots, it's vital that you have the control you need without it becoming overcomplicated or difficult to manage. It's our theatre heritage and inherent understanding of the manipulation of mix data that had allowed us to design a system that puts you in control. It's common for engineers to want to remote control the console, and our iPad app offers wireless control over all of the major mix functions. The free app is simple to set up and provides the freedom to adjust the mix in difficult environments where console placement is less than ideal, or in conference and installation environments where the equipment needs to be hidden away. Beyond this, the Quantum7 can be controlled or integrated with other platforms. From generic OSC or Huey MIDI to L-Acoustics, Lisa or Ross Video, we offer a wide range of protocols for you to use. We also integrate closely with Klang, the immersive audio mixing engine. While the Klang system can operate as a standalone system, when hooked up to a DiGiCo, the integration transforms its operation that offers a user experience not matched by any other console manufacturer. Klang's immersive engine adds 3D processing for IEM monitor mixers, allowing you to place sounds anywhere around the listener's head. Our integration puts the control of the 3D space directly on the console channels. The artist could simultaneously have control of their own mix, but with the security of knowing that their monitor engineer can step in at any time and take control. It offers a truly unique experience, and many artists won't go back to traditional stereo IEM mixers once they've experienced the combined power of Klang and DiGiCo. We hope that this has given you a taste for what DiGiCo offers with the Quantum7. It's a platform that delivers more than any other live mixing console available. From its FPGA-based engine that offers a platform for continued development, to its leading audio quality born from the 32-bit conversion options and 40-bit floating point processing, which have created some of the best-sounding shows of all time. DiGiCo consoles are built to last, designed for the road, and backed up by the best support and the most passionate team in the industry. Be your best. Mix on the best. Mix on DiGiCo. Before we finish, we have a few new things to talk about, so keep watching. As you've heard earlier in this video, our consoles are platforms on which we continuously build, and our FPGA technology allows us to deliver new tools and features through software and engine code updates. In the latest release, our R&D team have delivered some significant updates, and we're going to take a quick look at the highlights. The biggest addition to Quantum7 in this update is Naga 6. Naga 6, the latest Spice Rack module, builds on the success of Chili 6, providing users with a multi-band dynamic EQ with 6 freely assignable parametric bands. And just like Chili 6, Naga 6 can be inserted onto any channel of any type on the console. While Chili 6 and Naga 6 are both 6-band dynamic processors, they offer users two different approaches to dynamically controlling frequency-specific gain. And both modules include our patented release shape control. This update also adds side chaining to both Chili 6 and Naga 6. The side chain can be selected either globally or per band, and there are controls for sidechain filtering per band, and we've added additional solo controls. The Matrix gets a range of updates, including a new mix copy function and a relative adjustment option for trimming multiple node gains while maintaining programmed offsets. And there are lots of little tweaks, including control group functions, work surface and GUI interaction, and template file handling. Head over to the website to read more. In addition to these exciting new software and processing features, we have two new rack options to offer. They share the same audio connectivity as each other, but offer alternative connectivity to the console. The MQ rack retains our traditional MADI connectivity, while the DQ rack adds native Dante support. For many corporate and installation applications, this Dante connectivity is essential, and with the DQ rack, the DiGiCo ecosystem is opened up to more markets and opportunities. From an audio perspective, the MQ and DQ racks offer a more fixed I/O configuration, with 48 mic line inputs and up to 28 outputs. The 24 physical output sockets are primarily analog, and 4 of the mono analog outputs can be switched to AES, providing 4 2-channel digital outputs. This switching of output format is fully controlled from the console and can be easily reconfigured as needed. Both the MQ and DQ racks are compatible with all DiGiCo consoles, either via native console MADI support or using an appropriate DMI expansion card. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to check out the other Quantum Range videos.